Welcome to Tamsin Talks. Today I'm going to be speaking about my time living in Qatar at the age of just 14. This is going to be one of my first videos, and the reason that I'm making this video is because when I moved there was absolutely nothing on YouTube, there was nothing really online. I just really want to help whoever's, was in the same position as me, and just so they have a bit more information, just to help them feel a bit easier about it, just so it's not 100% all new. Why did I move? Basically, it's as simple as my stepdad got a job there. My stepdad got a job and he moved out a year before we did, just because of schooling and everything. Because of that, we went out for a holiday and just got to kind of see the country before we moved there, which did actually really help me feel a lot less sure and worried about moving there, because he'd made some friends and they had kids and I got to meet them and speak to them about it, and it just made me feel so much less stressed. So living in Qatar, it's definitely different to living in the UK. The houses are so much nicer. For one, I'm pretty certain that you will have a nicer house. I lived in a compound, which is like a gated community. So for anyone that doesn't actually know what a compound is, it is just a lot of houses or flats or anything just enclosed within a wall or a fence, and there will be guards or security people making sure only people that live in the compound or friends of people that are there, people that are basically meant to be in the compound, can get in. That makes everything feel so much safer, especially for like a 14-year-old and my brother who was 9. We could just go out till late and our parents would be fine with it, because it was just so much safer. Living on a compound was one of my favourite things of living in Qatar. That's because we had things like pools, basketball courts, tennis courts, a gym, and we had like a clubhouse where everyone would meet, and there were clubs that would go on there. There were shops just for the people that lived there, and it just felt like so nice, because you just don't have that in the UK anyway. Like, you just don't get that kind of like living standard. There's like nothing. You have to drive to most places like that, and it would be rare to have all of those things in one place. I loved it. It like made me feel, I'd come home from school and it would just make me feel like I'm on holiday, outside in the sun, being able to hang out with my friends and just enjoy myself. Also, because of that, I made a lot of friends early on before I'd started school or anything, just by going to the basketball courts with a basketball, going to the tennis courts, with my brother or something. People turn up, people want to speak to you, people are friendly because they've all been in your position. So don't worry about making friends. I actually think making friends is the easiest part of moving, because if they're not in your position now, they were in your position, so everybody understands. It is a great thing having all of these things on a compound, so when you bring your friends back to your house, like, you've actually got things to do, like you're not just stuck in a house, which is what I think a lot of people think when they move to Qatar, that they'll always be inside, which is completely false, because you can be out as much as you want. It just depends like what you like to do. What to do? So basically, the only kind of things that you can't do that you would do on a normal day-to-day thing that I kind of noticed was going out on walks and things. So going to like like as I would in the UK, I would take my dog into the woods, or go on a countryside walk, things like that. I just you can't do. They don't have places like that to take or go on walks. Also, there literally is everything that you could imagine. All the normal things that you do in the UK, you can do them in Qatar. Like, it doesn't not happen. Like, it is a fully normal country. I don't think that you're not going to be able to do things like horse riding, going to a swimming club and doing things like that, because you absolutely can, and it's really good. And a lot of the time the facilities are a lot better in Qatar than they will have been in your own country, just because they're so much newer and they've been done really well. So bear that in mind, it's not all bad. The best bit about living in Qatar is the fact that you can do loads of water sports. I just found myself doing so many more cool adventurous things that I just wouldn't be able to do in the UK, like types of things that you would just do on holiday, whereas like you could go paddle boarding, or you could go canoeing, or all of these different types of things. You could do them normally as like an everyday hobby. You can also go sand duning, which is scary, but it's so fun. You can either go in a 4x4 or rent quads. That's something you can't do in most places. Another thing would be going to the souk, which is basically the market. It's a really traditional like Arabic market, and it just is like Qatar's history. And it's such a cool, chilled out place where you can find literally anything, and it's just a place like no other really, and I love that, and that was one of my favourite places there. You can go and watch so many sporting events. Qatar has so many stadiums, so you can just find tickets all the time to watch this, that and the other, just loads of things, and it is amazing. And that's just another cool thing that you would do as a treat in the UK. It's not something you do all the time, and that you can do as quite a regular thing, which I think is quite nice. Also, you will find yourself going out to eat more, and basically I think just having a more luxurious lifestyle. You know, the shopping malls, the restaurants, they're all so much nicer, I think, and they're all like in the same place, so you've got a lot of choice. So when you do go out, like, expect that you probably will end up going to nicer places than you would where you're from. I know that in the UK I don't just go for brunch, or I don't just go to hotels for the weekend, but like, you know, people do pay to go and use the hotel's facilities, like the beach and the pool. I'm not saying that everyone's going to do this, but I know that it was normal for me and a lot of my friends to just, you know, do these types of things, because you can't go out to the beaches in a bikini and things. You have to be in a hotel for that, so I think that's another reason why it's just so much more chilled out. So the laws of the country, you are probably really wondering about this, because I know this is something that's talked about so much, and something I was a bit worried about moving to Qatar. So the first thing I want to speak about is covering up. It is a law. You do have to cover up to your shoulders and up to your knees. It's annoying, especially when you first get out there and you're not used to it. You just want to wear all the clothes that you brought with you, and you kind of figure out that you can't, or you have to put a cardigan with it and it just ruins it. That is just the reality of it. You have got to go shopping. And to be honest, if you don't cover up, you do just attract loads of unwanted attention, which I don't think is worth it. So yeah, just cover up. It's not that big of a deal. It's annoying, but like, it's their culture at the end of the day, and we're in their country, so what can you do? So the next thing didn't affect me as much, but I know it affected some of my older friends and family. Basically, you can't buy alcohol from just any place. There is one shop in the whole country, I know, one shop, and it sells alcohol to people that have licenses. If you're Muslim, you cannot get a license, because obviously that's against their religion to drink alcohol. You can also buy alcohol from certain hotels, not all hotels sell it. You have to be 21 to buy it, so in the UK you have to be 18. So it's a bit annoying when you turn 18 in Qatar and you do want to go and get a drink at a hotel. You can't do that, you have to be 21. But again, that didn't really affect me because I was younger at the time. Also, something that did kind of affect me, I mean, I've never been that big of a fan of pork, but you know, you always want what you can't have. There's no pork. You cannot buy it in any supermarket. Again, it's the same as with alcohol. It's, you know, one shop in the whole country. You have to have a license, and you can't be Muslim to buy the pork because it is against their religion again. Another thing is showing public affection. If you have a boyfriend, or even if you're married, you are not allowed to, you know, kiss, hold hands in public. Even though I've seen it happen, it's just not allowed. So looking back at 18 now, I absolutely loved living there. I would move back 100% in a heartbeat. Like, I honestly loved living there. I think this is because I kind of really immersed myself when I got there. I started learning the language, and I really just loved the cultural differences and like kind of just embraced them. And I think if you embrace all the bad aspects of living in Qatar, and let it consume you, you'll have such a different experience of living there. I had such fun when I was living there, and I have to say the 2 years that I was there were some of my favourite parts of growing up. Being around people from all over the world, different cultures, different backgrounds, I think really opens up your mind, and I'm really grateful to have had that at such a young age. Everybody's been in your situation and they want to help, they want to make you feel at home, because no one, you know, none of the expats are actually at home living there. They all come from a different country and they've all been in the same position, so that is one thing that I was just so overwhelmed by, is the kindness in that country. And I actually think that's why it really wasn't hard for me to make friends. I've definitely made some friends for life whilst living there. So when you move to Qatar and you live there, you do understand the Islamic religion a lot more than you would if you'd stayed in your own country, if it's not an Islamic country, or for me, the UK. I think this is such an important and special thing to actually have an understanding of, because I just think if people actually took the time to understand religions and why people do what they do, there will be so much more peace in the world. So I'm really, again, grateful to just have such a deeper knowledge on the religion than most people my age would have had. Really crazy experiences that I honestly just wouldn't know where to even start. You know, one incident where, you know, there were 4x4s on 2 wheels just rolling down the road in front of us, or, you know, camels in the back of the car. Like, that's weird. Like, you just don't see that in the UK, obviously. There was a tiger on the loose once along the highway. You know, things like that happening all the time. And coming back to England after living there for 2 years, you do really appreciate the things, the little things in England or wherever you're from that you don't have in Qatar. And I think that that's so nice to have, because you don't think about these things that we have in our country before moving to a place that doesn't have them. Obviously my experience is very different to someone who was actually out there working. I was a schoolgirl going to school at 14 to 16 years old. It would have been very different. Living in Qatar definitely is not for everyone. For as many people that don't like living there, there is as many people that absolutely love it. And I think it's important to not listen into too many people's opinions, because I know before I left, so many people were like constantly putting thoughts into my mind about it, and I think it's so important to just go out there and make your own opinion on it, because at the end of the day, a lot of the people putting these, you know, questions into your mind have never been there, and I think it's so ridiculous. So I think you should just get out there and just make your own mind up and just go open-minded. And I think that is the best way to go into it, is open-minded, you know, not expecting anything, you know. You're gonna make friends, you're gonna have a great time. Don't see it as a bad thing. It felt like I was on holiday, honestly, you know, being able to go to the water park at the weekend, which, you know, I couldn't do in the UK, was something that just made me feel like I was on holiday. I just had such a great time all the time, and I just think it's important to take the good from everything. So I hope this video has helped. I'm going to make another video on going to school in Qatar, so please subscribe. This is a new channel and it would help so much. I'm going to keep posting, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope this video has helped. I am going to be doing another video soon on going to school in Qatar, because there is nothing about that on YouTube, so stay tuned. Please subscribe, I would appreciate it so much, because this is such a new channel. It would really help. I'm going to be posting a lot more, so thank you guys again. Bye.